Okay, so last classes we have covered like two kind of operation in the stream API. One is intermediate operation, another is the terminal operations.
Yes.
So intermediate operations take input from the previous pipeline and give output as a stream of the data. Stream of maybe data. And this
Yes.
stream of data again passed to the another pipeline function. Another pipeline function receives some input data and return some data. So whenever uh, terminal function are returning always the actual value, they are not returning the stream. Before that, all the intermediate operations are return the stream of data. So take input, whatever the input take, but return the stream of data. Again, take input, return the stream of data. And final, in the terminal operations, receive the data, but return the actual value. Value may be integer, float, double, void, anything. But they are not returning the stream. So those scenario we can say this is the terminal operation, and all others are intermediate operations, right?
Yes.
And in generally all the pipeline function in stream API are generally accept input as a functional interface and output as a stream of another value, right? So let us example like we have a list of its number. So whenever you can start a stream. So now a pipeline is started with source, and here whenever you select a filter, is then another kind of our intermediate operations. So what is filters always take input as the one functional interface. What is a functional interface? Any interface we can say functional. That interface have defined only one abstract method. Only one abstract method. That interface known as a functional interface. In Java, you can define interface, and in interface, you can define abstract method. Abstract method
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if any interface have only one abstract method, so those interface you can say the functional interface.
Yes.
Generally, in stream, any intermediate operations are terminal operations. They receive input as a functional interface, not receive any specific value like integer, float, double. Okay, these value, integer, float, double, whatever we are going to pass this function, that will take as a wrapper, as a box within a functional interface. Okay, so you can say all the stream API pipeline functions are accept input as a functional interface, not any value. Okay, so here say we are creating the one pipeline. In this pipeline, we have defined the function 1, function 2, and function 3 lets. And whenever you associate any source of data, so this function, first function take input as a functional interface, second as a functional interface, third as a functional interface. In general, you can say uh, you the existing library which already allow you can build the pipeline, but this is not a mandatory. Sometimes you can write your own pipeline function. Might be that can take not the interface, but maybe some another data types or maybe another custom object. But generally, in a Stream API with Java library have all the operations like maybe intermediate or terminal operations. All the function input is the functional interface, right? So all method take input as a functional interface and output as a stream of value. So input would be the your functional interface, and what were the output for this year would be the your stream of actually the value, whatever the your value you have,
Yes, integer.
right? So this
Yes.
function f1 take input as a function interface and return a stream of the value. This function take as a function interface, and similarly the pipeline is going to pass, right? So here
Yes.
filter is a method, and let's say for each. So these are the you can build pipeline. You have one function filter, one function
Terminal.
maybe map. Okay. So all this function, like this function, this function, this function, if you look carefully Java doc, so they take input as a functional interface. Name can be anything. Name can be anything. This functional interface filter can take a functional interface, but name would be the predicate. But all the interface name generally we have one single abstract method. And similarly, map also take input as a your function as itself functional interface function, right? And
Yes.
similarly, for each also take a functional interface, maybe consumer, right?
Yes.
So in generally, Java have a defined of majorly uh, depend upon the function behavior. Notice, in generally, whenever you're going to write function can be categorized in the following category. Maybe function take input and return nothing, no return, right? One function can take input, maybe return value. One function can be possible, not take any input, but still return value, right?
Yes.
So generally, these kind of whenever you're going to write any method, generally write method take some value or not. So might be that for this general use purpose, JDK library already given some standard functional interface. So if you are thinking I can write functional interface, yes, you can write. But before writing your own functional interface, let's think what kind of function I'm going to define in the functional interface. Our abstract method takes some input, So already standard library have a functional interface that takes some input, and the function which you going to define as a custom, they are returning some value or not returning value. So
Yes.
similar behavior already you have. Don't unnecessarily go create your own functional interface, because the existing library functional interface can serve your purpose. Just reuse it. So this function, one function take input, no return. That means this is known as a consumer interface, right?
Consumer. Yes.
One function take input and return some value. You can say this is a functional interface, right? Function.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes say, hey, a function does not take any input, but can return value.
Supplier.
Supplier. Okay. So supplier. So generally, whenever you're writing function, this is your single abstract method fall under any of this category, right? So due to that, if each and every one for similar same kind of functional interface, you're going to define your own interface. I define my own interface. Lots of interface you can build, and generally that not make any additional benefit, right? So
Yes.
general guidelines as a stream API designer, hey, before going to defining in your functional interface, let's check the library. If our library uh, fulfill yes survey purpose, just use them, right? Here we know this is the functional interface, So generally, whenever we're going to file, use them, just look the library. Okay, good.
Yes.
Till now, any confusion?
No.
Okay, great. So here, last class we discussed if you have any interface that have a single abstract method, right? Single abstract method. These can be implemented. Okay, implemented means whatever the abstract method that defined inside the interface, that is the functional interface. the business logic, the code of this method, you can write by the four way. First way, using the implementation class, named class. Another way, using the anonymous class. Another way, using the lambda function. Or another way, using the method references. So all any functional interface. Now developer have a four choice. All are the okay. Okay, but generally, when you are going to use the named classes, that means your these single abstract methods are business logics are going to use many places. That means you want to write only one business logic and you want to use by the different places, right? So in those cases, our implementation class and named classes help the purpose. But sometimes say I have give the business logic of this single abstract method, but after my code execution, there is no need. Then you can go the anonymous class. Okay. The third option, no, I am not interested to write complete class. I want to just provide my business logic. That means what the input and what is the out, right? What is the business logic? With the help of arrow function. This is my input parameter
Lambda.
and a function body, right? This lambda function say, okay, I am not going to write any implementation of single abstract method. Instead, say at which place you are going to use my single abstract method. At the same place, you pass this complete code. Just pass as a complete code. So in this functional interface, if any method want to take input as a functional interface, so you can pass object. You can pass object. There are two ways. But third way, you can pass the complete code as well. Code snippet. So lambda expression say, hey, now you can pass a call any method that take input as a functional interface. Now you have a both option. You can pass the object or you can pass the code itself. So sometime Java 8 onward, you can say Java also support code as a first class citizen. First class citizen means this code can be used as an input parameter, can be used as an output parameter. Before Java 8, generally always methods take input as an object or output as an object. Maybe object can be primitive value or object can be your custom class.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And fourth approach, method reference. Method reference say कि already we have written some method which follow the syntax of the single abstract method. So why I am going to any one of this? Let's use the existing method which already I have. And this method have the same syntax which functional interface want. Method name can be anything because in this lambda expression, generally method name does not make any sense or does not say make any additional you can say benefit. So due to that, say might be my different class have a different method, but the syntax is the same. So that method can become a candidate for this functional interface implementation class. Right?
Yes.
Is it clear? So
Yes,
similarly here, all the stream API which are taking input as a functional interface, now developer have a four choice to call them. The generally preference way nowadays are lambda expression are method references. Method references give the logical name for your lambda expression. While writing lambda expression, I am not clear what is this. So let's example. I say, hey, whatever the input number I receive, I am going to say n modulo 2 double equal to 0. If some engineer know the business logic of what it is, then they can guess, hey, this is the this filter are going to run this code for even number or odd number, right? But here, as a business person, you know this is the code for even number. Might be some other engineer who are reviewing your code or who are reading this code. They might be don't know because this simple calculation it makes sense, but sometime in a real application we are going to write the complex code, right, for implementation. And writing slightly simplest code or complex code inside this method argument that make some uncomfortable, like means code readability problem. In the Java thumb rule, you are writing code only one times, right? But that code read by many times, right? So be focused. Whenever you are writing a code, your code be more readable because you are developing today application. This application might be used by the coming 5 year, 10 year, right? So if
Yes.
you're writing some, you are passing some code snippet inside a method because Java support. Java say any code can be first class citizen. You can pass as an input. You can return as an input. It's okay. But what? Our code more readable. Any developer read my code in future, they can easily understand. If yes, it's go. If not understand, give the logical meaning. So here, method references help us to give the logical name so that if someone read the stream pipeline, they can easily find out what my pipeline is defined. Is it
Yes.
clear?
It's, so, sir, like for terminal methods,
Hmm.
we always have to write a method. Like here in filter, I am writing this logic and not to code equal to zero, something like odd and even thing. So for this, I have to create some one custom method by my own, and I have to set the return type in that method. Based upon that, then it will work, right? Could you
Right.
show an example? Yeah. Okay. Could you show an example of the terminal, this method
So
appears that we can
he,
apply on this
so
example?
here you are trying to say ki I can write my own function, right?
Yes, yes. Small functions without using the static thing and while using the method.
Okay. So let us example we have a class, okay? My utility class, okay?
Mhm.
Utility class. Let's here define one method. Public avoid let's test. Okay.
Yes.
And this will take input as a one integer number. Okay.
Yes.
And simply say printing the number. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So this method, whatever this method, why I'm writing this syntax? Because I'm going to use this method, test methods, or my print, okay? My print, okay? My print. Is there printing the
Yes.
value? This my print method I want to use here. Okay. Why? Because this function for each are expecting a functional interface, right? That is your consumer. Because if this consumer interface have just only one method, then that take input but return nothing, void. So if any method which have this syntax void and return time some value is the implementation of this functional interface. Even you don't need to use this class name, even you don't need your method name. Okay, still that code become a candidate for your functional interface, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Yes.
its code. So due to that, I am writing here. Okay. So
Yes.
let's say here say whatever the number you receive, let's say number plus 10. Okay. Now here I'm not interested to write the lambda expression. That's I interested. I can use this class or not. Okay. So notice we have a two option here. let me write the two functions. Okay. One function is static, right? One is non-iterative. That's a print static. Okay. So if you have
Yes.
an static method, so in Java, whenever you have a define any method within a class, okay, and you want to invoke, both method have a invoke the different approach. First approach, generally with it, whenever you class, let's create the one object, right? Object. Once your object created, after that you can call this method or you can call this method. Logically you can do, right? There is no problem. So if you have a, let's jump. So let us here my util class. Let's create the my util object. Okay, equal to new my util object, right? Just comment it. Okay. So now here we have a two option. From this, I can call dot my print. Let's pass number 6. So, okay. Even I can say pass my this method. Okay, this method. That's so if you run this code, both code is run fine. There is no any problem. So this is the one way. Whenever you are defining any method inside a particular class, you can use them or you can call them using this object. This is the one way, right? But
Yes.
here both methods are different kind of okay. Okay. So here both methods are the not the same nature, right? Because one are the static. So generally compiler, whenever you're calling any static method, they replace your object name with your class. So generally instead of this, compiler happy, don't write this way, because I know this is the static method. So static method preferable way call from your object. So internally you can say a compiler, whenever you're calling this way, they are converted code word this way. The preferable way is static method call you the object class name and instance method call your object. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes.
Great. So let's come on our problem. So here, which method I want to call? If you want to call it static, the preferable way you can use the class name, right? If you want to non-static, preferably you can use your object reference. You can just say, hey, my object references, just pass here and say, hey, I have a print method. That's done, right? Any confusion?
No. So like here we are not passing the parameter and it will
Run it.
automatic.
Yeah, it will take. I'll tell why. But okay, I have to import. Let's import.
Do we have any shortcut here? We can import all the classes at a single go.
Control. I
IntelliJ.
think Shift Control O might be here. Just Google. Whenever you want to learn any kind of shortcut, let's Google. The IntelliJ needs shortcut to import classes. They will help you, right?
Okay.
So now let's and just give the demarcation different line of code. Here it okay. And run.
Yes.
So here these pipeline, notice we are able to success, right? So what we did here I write some code. I don't know what it is. I write some more code. What no? But here I am calling print my function. It's one of this function that the value, right? So here I give the logical name. Why not I can give the logical name here? I'm here saying just addition of 10, right? Here maybe division of 2 are even number, right? So here if I want to give some name so that some developer or QA or another engineer read the code, hey, you are starting this string, then doing even number, then doing double it, then printing them. So look like our prop code become a one English statement, right? So instead of writing this, I can say, hey, let's write a one couple of method like here. So let's write a couple of method here. Maybe even, okay, is even. You can check, okay, is even. Then you can say, hey, return the boolean value, boolean, and here say, hey, return whatever the code you written here. You are written this, just give the logical name here. You say, hey, this is my code. I am given the logically name for this code, right? This is my input, this is my business logic, right? This is my input, this is my business logic. Similarly, like here, maybe plus 10, right? I have write another function. Hey, let's say plus 10. And here say return plus 10 or double it, whatever option you have, right? Or you can say double it, okay? Give the logical name. And here return the same number, okay? And here say n plus n, right? So I am given some logical name. So instead of writing this code, I can say, hey, pipe then start filter, and this is the my. And one thing here, I my house here. Here say, hey, just check is even.
Need to add one more semicolon before this.
Oh, I'm missing something.
No. On the same line, you need to add one more column. Dot before S. Yes.
Okay. Yes. And here say my util object colon is thing. Okay. And say, hey, type my util colon. I know a double it. So now your code now become a one single English statement. List of number, even check the even, double it, and print them. So this code is more readable than writing this way, right?
Yes.
Maybe write this. Okay, instead of this, let's just duplicate it. For each number system. So this is the one way writing the code using the lambda expression. Here lambda expression. Here using the method references. So sometime lambda expression is the preferable way. Sometime method reference is the preferable way. But this is not any kind of best. Hey, this is the best way. You can say this is the best performance or something. Any drastically change the behavior? No. This is just style of writing. Please ensure that our code is more readable, so that in future it can be more maintainable.
Yes, correct.
So till now clear?
Yes.
Any pipeline method which are taking input as a functional interface, you have an option to provide the implementation class or code using this input as a complete code. That means lambda expression. Lambda expression just like code of snippet, right? Lambda expression is a code of snippet. This is the, you can say, whole this you cannot say this is the object or input value. You cannot say even this is the integer, because filter is the method take input as a functional interface, and functional
Yes.
interface means we have to provide the implementation class,
Predicate.
implementation
Yes.
method. So those methods, the code I am passing here, what I'm doing, I am calling a filter interface and passing input as a code. Code means lambda expression. Here I am calling map and passing not any number, not any value. I am passing map interface, calling map with a set of code. This code is executed by my map function. This code, whenever you pass any method, someone going to execute your code. At this line, your code is not going to execute. Okay, be clear. Whenever you say filter, the filter method is already written by your library. You are not writing here. Note, here you are not writing the filter method. Here you are using filter method. You are calling filter method, right? And you are passing some input. So what are you passing input? I am passing one method code, right? This is the code. This is my input. This is the code. So whenever you pass this code to this filter method take input, do something, and finally call your method. Call your methods. So I know why our this API filter know I have to call your code, not any other code, because they know this filter interface are expecting one predicate interface, and predicate interface already have method test. So here they're calling whatever the passing code references F or code references P, they are going to the call P dot test, right? So
Yes.
whatever here you code passing, this code is invoke a call by inside the library. And if your any method takes some input, so this library responsibility to passing your input, right? Notice test method will take input one. Okay, so those inputs, because you have written the code, take input n and return some value. This input is passed by here, the business logic of the filter method. They receive input from the pipeline and pass your test method, and whatever the result, they can calculate. So lots of things internally our compiler, our DD filter library do for us, right? So if someone say, can you call this method print? So here notice I'm calling this print. I pass some number, right? Notice here I pass some number input, but here I am calling my double it. I'm not passing any input, right? Here this method, because here method is not called. Please note that here we are not calling the method. We are passing our code to this my function, and my function internally going to call double it. Here double it function not called, because whenever you call in double it function, that means you have to pass parenthesis and put some value. Is it clear? Here in the both cases, I am just passing the code snippet.
Yes, yes, good.
And this code snippet is again invoked by the library. And library responsibility, what kind of input this method expecting? You pass the input. Question is that this map method, how know what is my next number? Because internally they build the pipeline. And pipeline, whatever the source of data is traversing from pipeline to pipeline, pipeline to pipeline. This map function have our input number. Those input number passed to your double it function. It makes sense? Till now, any question? Okay. Good. So till now, let's see. Come. So let's test as of now.
So in projects, I saw that most of the time this second approach is utilized most, like integer upstream in the method reference. Yes, this one.
Yeah. Yes. That is the just for the readability. Okay.
But here, like static method is not harming anything, right?
No, no. Question is that when you're going to write the static method, when you're going to instance method, right? This is the basic question, right?
Yes.
So what do you think? When I am going to write the static method, when I am going to write the instance method?
Like I need some data in such a way, like I need country name. Those are the permanent data which I don't need it to be modified. At that time, I can use those things as a static inside of a static method. But in somehow, if I found that I need to modify the data in future also, then I can use a kind of instance method or different uh, non-static methods. That's not it.
Yeah, good. So you are almost right. So last time say ki whenever I am going to create any object, right? Any object, any object. So
Mhm.
notice, yeah, any class object. Generally, object means we have a some class. Java is the object will be programming language. The preferable way, whenever you have a some class, and once you created a class, and you are going to create one object. This is the class, my utility. And this is the class means we have written some set of code here. Method one, method two, method three. This is the simple one source file, Java source file, which contains some kind of code only, right? But
Yes.
this code is not used. This code is not used. Whenever you compile this code, one dot class file is created. Okay. But actually you want to call this method or this method, they are going to some different places. So one approach like we are going to use this method from the object. So I going to create the one object. Object take heap memory, right? And you can create many number of objects, right? Object 1, object 2, object 3, right? And
Yes.
generally, object stores some kind of a storage location. So what the data they are going to store? If this class have a define any kind of instance variable, like age, name, salary, something, right? So these variable, name, age, salary, are going to the allocate a specific memory location, right? So
Mhm.
let's example. This is the employee class, right? Employee class. Name and age. So here, employee one, employee two, employee three, right? Each employee have a different name. They have a different name. They have a different name. They have a different name, right? So from one class, this is the only one class, but you can create the three instance, yeah, three object, and each object have a different name space, different name space, and different name space, right?
Yes.
Now, on this object, you can associate any function. I can associate this function, or I can associate this function. So whatever the function defined here, I can call on this. So you can see any function that are required this instance variable or value. They want to read something. Yeah, they want to modify this object anyhow. So those method logically you create as a instance method because they are working on a specific instance, right? Let's my name is and your name is your name. You have different object, right? You are the different object. So if you are going to change your name, but I want not change my name, right? So each object has own value. Let's give my name have a some spelling mistake. I have a some function update my name, right? So they are going to change the memory location of my object, but this name is not changed required to the every object, right? So whenever any function you want to write, that's for a specific individual object. That means instance. Due to that, say, hey, this is the instance method. Instance method that are operate on a specific instance of your class, right?
Yes.
Clear instance method means that these methods are defined. It will run independently or separate for each object. Let's say we have a 100 object created. So this same method independently work for the 1,000, yeah, 100 objects, right? there is no any kind of a sharing between these two objects. But
Yes.
sometimes you say, this is my organization, this is my company. And notice in one company, my name is different, your name is different, your colleague name is different, but might be current date is the same for every object, right? Whatever the current date, or maybe company name, maybe country name, right? So these information, notice not a specific bound to a specific independent object, right? So generally, those information, the data, you can say country name, current times, these informations are shared across the multiple objects, right? At different objects. If you want to change something, that can be reflected by the many instance or object. So whenever how to change any value, generally we write a method, that function or that code that in future modify the some data, and this data you want visible all my instances. So generally those code we are writing inside the your static method, right? So generally static is not bound to any kind of object. Static is just outside of one code, and this code you can associate with any object or any class or anywhere. These are independent. They are not reading any instance value. They are not going to read your name. They cannot read the name of this. Any code, any methods that can not require any specific object value. Because they don't care. I don't know what is your name. Why I am interested to change your name? No, I'm not capable. Yeah, I'm not interested. So such scenario, generally we are writing the function as a static, right? So you can say static function just like a utility function that can be used by any class and any places whenever we want, right? So generally, whenever writing static, this should be public so that this can be accessed anywhere, because this is not bound to specific object. Any class, any code, they can easily call them. Just using my class name, hey, this is the class name, and call my method. Is it clear? So in this stream API, we can say these all the independent methods are not bound to a specific instance. So preferable way, this method can be instance, but it is not mandatory. You can write, you can call any method. Method means any code. Code means any code. Just because this method filter may for is expecting input as a code, right?
Yes.
Okay. So till any confusion?
No.
Any question?
No. Everything is getting.
Good. So let's do some couple of more, okay, example. So all these three functions clear. Question. Let's
Yes.
now let's ask actually when I can use filter, when I can use map, and when I can use
Yes.
for. Still now we have discussed these with kind of a syntax and semantic. How we can call, what the value you can pass, right? But sometime, whenever you are going to solve any problem, purpose, they have a specific purpose, right? As the name mentions, good idea. These the name filter. Name is help us the actually intent of this method. Here my name help us what this method doing. Similarly, this library function, a library method, help us to understand the meaning. Filter say, I am filtering out, right? So let us, we have a source of data. Whenever we have source of data, and whenever you can start pipeline, we have a pipeline function 1, pipeline function 2, pipeline function 3, and pipeline function so. So whenever one data stream go and pass to this function, Okay, so this go to the next, go to the next, go to the next pipeline, and finally print the data, whatever variable you want to print, right? But sometime, let's this the data one go to the every pipeline, but next data again go to the same pipeline. But sometime I don't want this function should be executed for a specific number. So here say, hey, this is my function. You receive some input. Let's process them and decide this pipeline you continue or not. Only after that, if my condition true, then I go to the next. If my condition false, I am go back to the next number. Say, hey, check, I am going to for next number. I don't want to process all sometime things. And notice these things manually you can do in the for loop, right? In for loop, you write if my particular condition true, then execute this code, else don't do, right? So manually for loop and if condition, right, is the replacement of your filter. Filter is just nothing like one if condition. Why if condition? Because in this source of data, I use multiple code, code 1, code 2, code 3, code 4. But this code 2, a code 3 can work for a specific input data. If I not found, might be this data is not good for my input, or this data is not suited for my this function. Might be this function can break. I'm not eligible to write. So how to skip the remaining pipeline? So this is the filter. Filter means just skip the remaining pipeline for a specific input, not for all, not for complete source of data. Independent, individual element, I'm deciding, hey, I'm skipping the rest of pipeline. Is it clear? Okay. So let's go to the next. You are not here. So let's I continue. Might be. So we have understand here for others. We have understand this filter function is just nothing, just replacement of your if condition. Let's example like here. We have a for loop. Let's integer I equal to 1, I less than equal to 10, I plus plus. So if so here you can say S out. Some very right here. In my main method, I can write it. For let's start with the 1 to 9, and here say south. Okay. Line number 1, 3. Two, line 3, line 5. Okay. And these are couple of code, but so I want, hey, if my specific let's I if specific if condition, if I let's greater than maybe 3, then I want to execute this couple of my code. Okay. So generally we write code this way. If I is couple of greater than 3, then do this, else always I do this. So whenever I am going to such scenario where some code is executed and some code is only executed if my particular condition is true. So these codes are given alternative with the for each. For each say, hey, all this means even number, odd number. These are the different code. Line number 1 code, line number 2 code, line number 3.
Yes.
All these codes I don't want every time all this code run, but conditionally I want to run. Sometime run and sometime not run. So instead of writing this like manually for loop and manually condition check, if that true, then you are going to do this. So you can say such places you can use this filter. Filter is just like a one alternative of if condition. If something true, then do something. That means the particular number. If the particular number is this condition true, then they are going to do further. Else they skip. Is it clear for filter? Filter is nothing. Whenever you are defining a pipeline and pipeline have a set of function and you want to skip some function or even a specific number, not for all number, not for complete source of data, right? Here, this all will print for number 1 and 2, but for number 3 and 4, they are not executed, right? So such scenarios, such cases where you think you can apply the filter, right? The filter is nothing, just one if condition. Okay? So let's talk about this map. So map have some so one thing, filter function, filter. So let's example. Here you have your source of data. Let's say we have a 10 element and you apply function here filter, apply filter. So here all the number go to this filter function, filter function, filter function. But which number going to the next pipeline function? Might be one number which match the condition, or might be two number match the condition, or maybe the next pipeline going to execute for maybe 0 element or 1 or 2 or n, depend upon your what the condition you are placed here. So in short, you can pass n input and output can be go maybe 0 or n or 1 n, right? So filter function you can say look like you have received multiple sequence of elements and those elements can pass to the next pipeline depend upon your condition. So here
Yes.
you can pass n, so you can receive maybe 0 or 1 or maximum n.
Or n.
So look like this mapping. So whenever that means we are reducing our input. Might be here your source of data have a 100 element. The might be you want to receive maybe 50 element only, yeah, 30 element only, yeah, maybe 4 element, right? Depend upon your filter. So look like your input is somehow filtering, right? So those scenario filter help us. But in the case of math, something different scenario. Map say whatever your source of data, whatever you have a source of data, I am going to apply my map function. If for one input you always get another input, means you are going to execute the next pipeline always. Here, if we have a 100 element in the source, so all element pass go through the your next pipeline. That means if you have passed n number of input to this map function, they always return all well. Okay, by one-to-one mapping kind of things. You receive one input and always pass output. So in case of the map, your pipeline, all functions are executed without any kind of order. So if your pipeline contain 10 element at 20 number of pipeline, and if your source of data can be 1, 2, 3, so one for this they are passed everyone to here. Next again pass for everyone. Third again pass for everyone. Because map is not any kind of reducing or expanding. Whatever the input reserve, just they pass to the next pipeline, next pipeline, next pipeline. Right? So this is for your map. So such scenario generally used for the transformation, conversion, maybe database call. Let's say I receive I here receive from first pipeline, I read the employee ID, right? Employee ID. And I want to name of the employee. So I maybe from employee ID, I call to the database and get the employee name, right? So I have received one employee ID and corresponding name I can return, right? So any kind of a conversion or request response or transformations, business logic you have to place, this map function help us. Because I take one input and return the output. So visualize anything. Generally, you write a map function are heavily used. If you are not want to any kind of a if then map, generally you are going to do, right?
Makes sense.
And last we have discussed about this for each. So for each kind of a, say there's kind of a terminal function, and these are very rarely used. You can say for study purpose, many times we are using for each, but generally in case of real application, for each generally are not more easy because we are not going to the print anything on a console, right? You're not going to print it for learning purpose. I am printing it. So yeah, what the value pass here, then go here, then go here. What the value come here? But in the real application, you are not printing anything on the log, right? On the console. So question is that why the use of for each? Just for validating your pipeline. Whatever the pipelines you have written, it's working for some, and let's ensure that print the value, ensure that hey, it's working as per my expectation. But this code is not used in a real application. Okay. So question is that why not use the real application? Because we're not going to write just real application, not going to write in a console output, because console output can be destroyed after a couple of once you rerun the code, right? Let's I first time run, I am getting the output. Again, next time run, my previous output lost, right? But real application, I don't want to lose any value, right?
Yes.
So somehow in our real life, whatever the data at the terminal operation receive, we want to collect them. We want to collect maybe in one variable, or maybe list, or maybe write to the file system anywhere, so that all the my pipeline run output somewhere is stored. Maybe later for analysis purpose, for tracking purpose, we know if my pipeline is started and did this thing, right? But question, the terminal function behavior is same. Maybe you are printing, or maybe you are storing in the collection, or returning one specific value. Purpose is same. Intention is the same, because they are return actual value, not saying hey, continue my string.
So here, like
Hmm.
the points that you just mentioned, like we can put the values there and can modify inside the collect method I'm talking about. The three things this you just said, could you repeat that thing?
I'm saying
Like
whenever whenever your pipeline is started, your source of data, and you started this pipeline, and this pipeline you have defined the function 1, function 2, and function 3. These are intermediate, and final your output data. So I'm thinking whenever your pipeline going to process one data, and receive the terminal operation, they are holding your intermediate result, because your lots of a source of data. So whenever your one data traverse in the complete pipeline and reach the terminal operation, here our library implementation is storing your data in temporarily. Till now they have not written the output, not written the file, not written the collection, not written anywhere. In memory, those results are stored. Similarly for the next element. Similarly for the next. When our last element you are going to the process, okay? At that time, they receive all your expected output, right? And now here we have a option. How to flush out? They have a store all your data in memory as of now. Okay,
Yes.
so once your source of stream completed, that time this your temporary calculated objects. Now you say you want to print on the console. I am going to print on console like here we did, right? But sometime
Yes.
I want to know. I return the list. Yeah, I return sum. I return only maximum. I return only minimum. Maybe you have a five element, right? So here
Yes.
our
Yes.
requirement can be no. I want to sum of all. Yeah, I want to just list all, or I want only maximum. I want to minimum, right? I want to know
Yes.
all these values stored in my file system. So depend upon my use cases. We are going to different terminal functions. The for is not just only one terminal function. Many terminal functions help us, right? For sum, we have a sum terminal function. For max, we have a max terminal function. For min, we have a min terminal function. I want to just count. Might be here I apply some filter function, right? The sum number can be
Yes.
discarded, right? This is discarded, this is discarded. I want to count. Okay, can be count. So for this, our library already given multiple terminal operations, right? For
Yes.
just for the study purpose or just for validating your out. But real, I want to use maybe sum, max, min, collect, count. These are the functions really used in an existing application. Okay. So till now, any confusion question? Okay, so let's try these things, and if you have any kind of doubt, confusion, still we can discuss deep. Else, we can continue explore some more terminal operations. Almost intermediate operations have the same behavior. You can read any number of intermediate behavior, but
Yes.
terminal we
Yes.
have a different terminal operation. The couple of classes, our objective, we have to understand once your pipeline process done, then the output or terminal operation how should be, how behave.
Yes.
This is the real use case. Okay,
Yes.
but
Yes.
these are
Map.
map filters. These are the
Flat map.
intermediate. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Synchronous stream.
So those things are depend upon our business case.
Yes.
This Stream API given lots in Java 8. Stream API, you can say a rich set of API. Rich means for different use case, different business scenario, they have given the
Yes.
methods for us. Maybe you are processing the only one data, they have a different method. You are processing bulk of data, they have a different method. You want to processing some multi-threading, they have a different methods. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
depend upon our context where I am going to apply this pipeline. We have to explore the Java API and use the particular function. Good two option here. Generally, here we are just using the filter method. We are just using the map method. We are not telling how filtering work. Okay. Here more
Mhm.
purpose, just tell how you can use the existing library. So one of the major you can say statement come for the Stream API or functional programming approach. You just tell what to do, not how to do. Here I just if someone written this code, what say? I want to just tell, hey Stream API, group all my numbers and go even them, go double them and print them, right?
Yes.
How
Yes.
doubling happen, how even happen, some backend background code written somewhere, right? I'm not more
Yes.
focusing. I am building pipeline. Pipeline is a more high level of view, you can say. Just between for the explaining your architect, explaining your test, explaining your PO. In this way, our code business line a pipeline work.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do such a exercise. Any doubt, any confusion, we'll connect. Else tomorrow we'll continue some more specialized from this stream and specialized from this uh, terminal operation. So
Yes.
coming classes, we have to think more specialized types of stream and more specialized types of your internal operation.
Oops.
That's good.
Oops. Thanks.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Good night.